Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Buttons and bows and pantyhose, On the Rocks podcast, the place where we're too glam to give a damn. So I am now convinced that when I die, Oompa Loompas will come out and they're going to sing about what a brat I was. Well, that's my fantasy. At least I'm going to put it in my will, so be prepared. Today's show is brought to you by Drag4.fans, the award-winning site connecting drag queens with their fans. You can sign up for free at drag4.fans.com. Kurt, do you have a pun for us today? You're so punny.
I always have a pun for you.
Okay, make it snappy. We got famous people here.
What does a Klingon dog say? Worf.
Oh my God, that is so bad, Kurt. That is awful.
Of course it is.
Oh God, I'm so embarrassed of the Star Trek universe. But thank you for that, Kurt. But speaking of the Star Trek universe, in keeping with our Star Trek theme this week, a happy birthday to Walter Koenig, who played Chekhov in the original Star Trek series. He stopped by On the Rocks a year or so ago to give us some behind-the-scenes stories, and he was loose-lipped, by the way. He shared plenty of stories. Sorry, William Shatner. Anyway, this show is presented by Straw Hat Media. You can watch it or listen to our over 225 episodes at ontherocksradioshow.com. Perfect for binge watching during quarantine. Hello to our listeners around the nation on every major podcast platform, including iHeartRadio and Pandora, Gay Binge TV, and on the Facebook pages of Now Trending, GED Magazine, I Love Gay LGBT, and of course, on the Rocks Radio Show's Facebook page. We are streaming on Roku and Amazon Fire TV at OutAt.tv. Also, we're on HereTV.com and YouTube's Planet Out channel. Coming soon to Apple TV, I found out today. So add and subscribe to us on your favorite platform. Like us on Twitter and Instagram at On The Rocks On Air. Send me an email. Book me for a wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care. I will zoom in and show up. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. Send us your questions, comments, and your drink recipes or nukes. Okay, let me get to the woman of the hour. I am so excited, by the way. Mary Chieffo is known internationally as the Klingon commander turned Chancellor L'Rell on the award-winning CBS All-Access series Star Trek Discovery. When she isn't covered in prosthetics and speaking Klingon, she is thrilled to be producing, writing, and starring in Iago in Operation Othello, a feminist, gender, and color-conscious virtual reality adaptation of Shakespeare's Othello, alongside my girl Viola Davis and Julius Tennant's Juvie Productions. We're going to talk all about that. She received her BFA in Juilliard, by the way, Miss Fancy Pants, flourishing in her passion for classic text and reveling in the opportunity to take on strong female and male roles in Shakespeare canon, including King Lear, Queen Elizabeth, and the title role in Erica Schmidt's all-female Macbeth. I can say that because I'm not near a stage. And for her exceptional work, she was presented by Juilliard with the prestigious Elizabeth Smith Voice and Speech Prize and the St. Denis Prize for Outstanding Achievement and Leadership in Drama. I couldn't even get like a good attendance award. In this last spring, she developed and directed Closed Circuit, a new play premiering at the NYC Frigid Festival, and will be seen in Peter Flaherty's Empire at Sea, an augmented reality project produced by Intel. She's also set to star in Laurie Jones's upcoming independent feature, The Feelers, of which Mary also serves as creative producer, Miss Producer Pants. And for the fall, for this coming fall, actually right around the corner, she is co-producing Heartbeats, which, get this, is an entirely improvised medical drama streaming live every Friday night on the Ripley Improv Twitch channel. She will guest star in the premiere episode on September 25th and host a talkback for every episode after that. And of course, above all, I mean, I'm a fan of all of this, but above all, who can forget her performance as a sleeping girl in Sandra Bullock's film, Making Sandwiches, at the age of 3. Please welcome Mary Chieffo!
Oh my goodness. Wow.
You know, when we think about the scope of work that you've done, you've been on the scene for, you know, a relatively short amount of years for all of these different projects that you've been working on. Mm-hmm. Now, I know you started young, but, I mean, that's quite a canon to yourself. I mean, I know you're trying to catch up with your parents probably, but that's a lot of work for such a youngin'.
Thank you. It really is. It's one of those things where I'm a very like one foot in front of the other, what inspires me. But when I hear it all kind of laid out, I do kind of get to sit back and be like, you know what, Mary, I think you're okay. Like, you've done some things. You're allowed to take a break every once in a while.
And there's so many exciting things that you're doing, such as playing with that feminine and masculine theme. Seeing present day Mary in your interviews, the Comic-Con events, social media, you interact a lot with your fans. You are a Shakespearean lover, a feminist, a geek, activist. But what kind of kid were you growing up? I mean, you literally grew up in an actor's studio or home with both your parents in the business. Were you like a real nerd or a class clown, cheerleader, quiet girl? Like, what was going on?
I was definitely a self-proclaimed geek. I'm proud of it. In fact, I love you. We just showed one of the Comic-Con panel photos where I got to be on a panel in Hall H for the show. And I spoke on that panel that was a lifelong dream. I grew up going to San Diego Comic-Con with my best friend Eve. And sometimes her parents are visual artists, graphic artists, and so we would go to Artist Alley. And there were a few times my mom was there for promotional things. And so I just grew up aspiring to be a part of a project that would lead me there. And while I didn't grow up with Trek per se, I loved sci-fi, fantasy. I leaned a little more on the fantasy side as a kid. Narnia and all that good stuff. But something that my dad, whose birthday it is actually today.
I saw that. Happy birthday, Mr. Chieffo.
Yeah, happy birthday, Papa. 2009 reboot of Star Trek. We went to see that, and that was actually my first real intro.
Yeah. And
then he was the one that was like, okay, well, let's go back. If you like these characters, let's look at the original series. Let's look at the original movies. And then I'm sure we'll talk about more how I got more and more into Trek. But those were kind of, I was kind of naturally a theater kid. In elementary school, I talk about how because both of my parents were actors, I really did not realize there was any other option, and not in like, oh man, I'm going to have to grow up to become an actor. I just thought that people pretended to be everything that they were. And then like, if I really get down to it, I would think that my friends' parents who were lawyers or doctors or whatever were dressing up like that, like my parents would for an audition, and then they would be the actor parents. So once that shift happened, also I did want to be a spy. And then I realized playing a spy was a lot less dangerous. I got into their musical theater program, and that's when I became a full-fledged musical theater geek, singing in the halls. You know, I saw Wicked. It changed my life. Yeah, and I would say I like that you were listing all the different kind of archetypes I could have been, and I feel that my actor transformative self kind of wanted to be all of them whenever I so pleased, and that's what led me to staying with theater. Is like, if I can't be all of them at once, then let me find a way to just keep creating new ways to be that.
Well, and your career really has blended everything. We're going to talk about the Othello project, you know, being futuristic, and what the work you've done on Star Trek. And for the Star Trek fans, we will be talking about Trek, so hold your input. They never were like, you know what, you should just wait until, until you're an adult, which some entertainment business parents will do. They'll make their kids wait, but that didn't happen.
Not really. I mean, to my parents' credit, they very much they wanted to support me finding my own way. They certainly didn't force me into it, but again, I'm so grateful. They filled my childhood with lots of creativity, but I played a lot of soccer. I was all-star goalie. I helped with the Klingon stuff later on. And I was into modern dance. I did that for a long time. I got super into art history in high school. There were a lot of things that, as is evident in how I've continued, as you've said, to create my creative space. But the thing I said I was willing to suffer the most for always came back to acting, whether it be just the emotional unpacking that I had to do, or, as I'm more witness to these days, just the strain of this industry and trying to find your place in it. But I think because I had an eye, particularly my parents being incredible, working, thriving character actors who had, made their livelihoods out of this profession, but we're working in the industry. We're not like, oh, they're just off in a mansion in Hollywood or whatever it is. We were in a creative space, and my childhood was filled with creative people and LA theater, and they both came of age in New York. My dad's from Long Island. So I spent time in New York growing up. I had those worlds around me always. So I think I never was caught up in the fantasy of I just want people to look at me, although that is totally part of it, I'm sure. I am an only child. So I'm not going to, yeah. Okay, we got a lot to talk about.
We get it.
Yeah, so I'm not to say that isn't a part of it, but I think it made me learn that my focus really wanted to be on the craft. And Josh Adele, who was my high school drama teacher, who I always like to acknowledge because he really gave me the tools to create my own craft that really then primed me for my Juilliard education. And he did a lot of Strasberg and relaxation just up until now.
Well, and what I love is that you did cut your teeth on getting your education. You know, you went to like the Shakespearean youth, theater camp. It's not like you were just placed because of your parents in the business. You weren't just playing roles. You really kind of had to learn for yourself what acting meant to you. You had to cut your teeth playing roles of all kinds, and so you really did that work. And for our viewers who don't know, Mary's parents are Beth Grant, one of my favorite actresses of all time.
Mine too.
And of course, Michael Chieffo, some of the most prolific pairs of actors ever. When you look at their body of work, I mean, it's astounding. That's why I said, are you trying to catch up?
Yeah.
Because they have literally played in every type of genre, by the way.
Yes.
In every type of medium setting, or, there's like a chemistry and there's a sincerity to their performance, which I definitely saw traits of in Discovery for you. Now,